Greetings everyone, and welcome to Soundtrack to the Night. My name is Eden Kupermintz, and I am an editor here with Heavy Blog is Heavy. I work a lot of night shifts, and nothing makes those nights go by smoothly and quickly like a good playlist of great albums. So what I started doing is asking the staff for random recommendations, one album each, 6 albums max, to smooth over those shifts right until the morning. And then I had this idea to do an off-the-cuff, subjective review of how these albums interact as a playlist, and each one in itself. And this is what you have here. All the album names and links to them will be in the description below. So if anything strikes your fancy, you should head on over there and give them a listen. Basically just listen to everything because our staff has amazing taste and you should get acquainted with every single one of these albums. Just one last thing before we get started. Again, these are subjective reviews. You won't find any objective analysis here or more general claims about the quality of the music, but more my feelings and emotions about how these albums work together as a whole. Okay? If you're looking for more objective analysis, head on over to the blog. If you're looking to know what I'm feeling, this is the place for you. Let's get started. So, the first album I was given for my first playlist is F Sharp A Sharp Infinity by Godspeed You Black Emperor. Now, this album needs no introduction. It is one of the seminal points of the genre called post-rock, although I'm not really clear about that definition since it doesn't really sound like anything else within the genre. But I guess that's what's common to classify it as, and therefore I will use that classification as well. Now, this is a very complex album. It has all these samples about the latter days and wallets filled with blood and love and all that stuff, but it's really, really, really good. I think it's like being lost in a city, like an oral city, and you don't really have a map to it, so you're kind of wandering around and all these sounds are appearing in your peripheral, well, not vision, but, auditory senses, and it gets a bit too much near the end. It's not very long. There are some albums in the genre which are even longer, but it ended right when I was getting tired of it. So that was good, and it got me in the right mood to analyze and really actively listen to the albums I have on the rest of the playlist. So it was a good opener in that respect. Now, the second album I was given was Bispora's The Pineal Chronicles, which is one of my all-time favorite albums. And it's a really good introduction to this subgenre called progressive metalcore or whatever, whatever Between the Buried and Me does. And a lot of the albums in this genre are just, stale and lifeless. It's all like wankery and the guitar, shredding and all that stuff. And it's not the case here. Sure, this album has a lot of silly samples about Morpheus and going down the rabbit hole or whatever, but it also has great riffs and great composition, which infuse it with this dynamic and a sense of vitality. It never gets repetitive, it never gets boring, and I am beyond excited for their upcoming release, which would be the part 2 to this one. And it was really nice to listen to it after the first album, the Post-Rock Creation, because it got me a bit more pumped and engaged. It's not so much a simpler album as it is an easier album to digest. And now, as thunder is ringing outside my door, we take a sharp twist with our style and we end up with Sun's Black One. This is one of the most abrasive, hard to digest albums within this genre called post-black metal or drone or whatever. The chords are strung out and the vocals are half screamed, half guttural, and I think that the word that best captures the power of this album is texture. The textures of the different kinds of distortion and the drums and the bass and the vocals all mixed together to this unique tapestry. And it's a very important album in the generation of this genre, and it's also a very good one because it scares you. It really draws you into its atmosphere and ambience, and no band is better at that than Sun. And this is their Open Magnus. I believe this is their best album, and you can fight me about it. And as the storm outside my window continues to deteriorate, we continue down this line established by Sun with Earth's Hibernaculum. Again, one of the most important albums in the generation of this genre called drone. And this is a heartbreaking album. It's so simple. The future of Earth's career, albums like Angels and Demons, The Bees Made Honey in the Lion's Skull, are really contained in a nascent form within this album. It's sort of a nadir of their career. And it's so simple. It's just drums, bass, and the guitar, and everything is delivered straight to the listener. And it's so sad, so melancholic, but it's really a great album. And it came at a good time in the playlist, because it's not as abrasive as Sun, but it still has the emotional weight which I was already feeling. So it really spoke to me. It soothed my ears, but it also drew me deeper into this dark place in which I was in. So very good choice for the fourth album with Earth's Hibernaculum. And once again, our playlist takes a twist, and we end up with Clutch's Earthwalker. Now, Clutch are one of my all-time favorite bands, and with good reason. They have been recording for more than 20 years now, and I can't really pinpoint to a bad album. There are better albums, worse albums, but none of them are bad. Clutch just, each and every single release brings the rock. You know, the raw, rolling bass and drums, Neil Fallon's amazing voice, and this mythos which Clutch has created around their work is really delivered in every single album. And this one is no exception. It really shows that Clutch are still able to just deliver their sound straight to you. Songs like Book, Saddle and Go, Gone Cold, Onto the Breach. All these songs are classic Clutch songs, some of the best in their repertoire, which is really saying a lot, because for a band as veteran as this, to keep recording music and putting out music which is on the same standard as their older stuff is simply amazing. So yeah, this really got me pumped towards the end of the list, got my blood flowing once again after the melancholy of Sun and Earth. So it was a very good choice at this point, and really any playlist can benefit from some Clutch. So you'd better add that album to your rotation and just jam it all the time, because it's awesome. So we find ourselves at the end of the playlist, and we have such a beast of a closer. It's World Exodermis, which is simply a monolithic album. Technical, brutal death metal to the extreme, produced to a fucking T. Each and every riff and cymbal and growl just rings with clarity. And this album it's a steamroller. It takes those blast beats, it takes the sweeps, it takes the riffs, and it just smashes you in the face with them. It doesn't relent at any point, and most of all, it doesn't get into the stale cycle that a lot of albums from this genre do. You know, it just doesn't repeat its own cliches. It keeps engineering itself, it keeps moving forward, it keeps finding new ways to kick you in the ass. And I love this album. It was a great closer. We ended off in a peak as far as energy is concerned. So that's it. That was my night. If you'd like, you can share your recommendations for your own playlist below in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And we're going to deliver this format to you every 2 weeks or so. And if you have any suggestions of albums I should listen to or whole playlists I should play, we will be taking fan submissions. And as always, we love you. We do this for you. And you are the best readers in the world. And that's it. See you again next time. I'm Eden Kupermintz. See you on the flip side.